Stocks are steady after recovering from an early slip. Utilities and energy lead gains. Sulk.
Biocon Biologics and Serum Institute rejig their strategic deal with picking up a 4.9% stake for $300 million in the former TV18. He isn't looking to up his stake for the moment.
The Crompton Greaves consumer electrical stock takes a battering after its CEO of over 7 years exits, and analysts fret over the new CEO's lack of operating experience in the sector.
And Nestle India beats street estimates on sales and profits driven by its highest growth in a quarter over a decade. But inflation and prices of key inputs crimps margins. The stock slips on the likelihood of input prices remaining firm.
Ipca Lab slips after it laps up a 33% stake in Unichem for over 1,000 crores and plans an open offer for 26% stake in what is seen as a pricey deal. UPL2 sulks on weak tidings from the global peer Adama, and Nelco and IIFL Securities jump post their earnings.
Hello and welcome to Halftime Report. I'm Sonia Shenoy, and with me are Ekta Batra and Mangalam Malu. Well, the market is looking good. It's not too bad actually. After yesterday's strong run that we had, the market is building on to its gains. It's at the high point of trade right now. And the good part is that it's led by financials. So 150 points in the green for the bank Nifty. Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv, SBI, IndusInd Bank are all your top gainers. And of course, ICICI Bank posted strong numbers. So the bulls have it. They have tightened their grip on the market. And looks like, that trend is something that can continue.
Yes, the bulls have it. The Nifty Bank doing extremely well. And you spoke about the financials. It is the Nifty financials weekly expiry today as well. So that will be an index important to watch out for. But what really stands out is that, we're also seeing some gains return in the metals pack after a fair bit of volatility. So we're seeing, JSW Steel at the high point of trade along with Tata Steel. And when these stocks move, they usually move big. So the second half important on that one as well. More stocks advancing than declining. Don't let the mid-cap index fool you. The mid-cap index right now is up just 0.1%. But the breadth of the market, we have 1,800 stocks advancing for just about 900 stocks which are declining. So advanced decline 2:1. Portfolios feeling good. Aita.
Hi Mangalam, hi Sonia. Well, yes, absolutely. And the big sector in focus has to be the entire pharmaceutical space. So I think my head seems to be buried in terms of the amount of news flow which has come through. But nonetheless, we have a lot of earnings to watch out for today as well. So on an index level, we might just about be floating around. We might not be showing big moves, but a lot of action remains underneath the surface. Oh,
absolutely. And it started, at the beginning of the day, right, with Biocon, when you got the news flow that Biocon and Biologics Biocon Biologics and Serum Institute agreed to withdraw from their original equity structure. The stock is actually holding up in the green, but Ekta, tell us this, restructuring of the equity investment, what does it really mean for investors?
Well, actually, I think it should be a positive because, earlier Serum had 15% stake at a valuation of $4.9 billion. And now they have 4.9% stake, and Biocon Biologics is valued at $6 billion. So you can see where exactly the strength has moved. It's moved into Biocon Biologics in the past few years, and that is because of the Viatris acquisition. Now, a couple of points which I just want to highlight is that Serum had invested $150 million in 2021 for 15% stake, which, like I mentioned, was at a valuation of $4.9 billion for Biocon Biologics. Now, the alliance with Serum gave Biocon access to 100 million vaccine doses over the next 15 years. The deal included access to COVID-19 vaccines. Remember that the deal was made at a time where COVID-19 vaccines were assumed to be in demand and were assumed to be in demand on a longer term basis. But that hasn't come through. Now, the deal was supposed to happen via merger with Serum SPV COVID Shield Technologies. The merger did not get the requisite approval from the NCLT in Maharashtra, so both the companies came back on the drawing board to see what exactly the new contours should be. Now, Serum is converting their $150 million bridge loan, which they've given to Biocon Biologics during the Viatris deal, into equity. With this investment, Serum will now hold $300 million in terms of investment in Biocon Biologics, but the valuation is much higher at $6 billion versus $4.9 billion, which it was assumed to be in 2021. Now, that means that Serum will hold around 9%. The valuation with this also, now we all know that the Biocon Biologics valuation is higher, but this conversion to equity from Serum's end will also help Remember, the debt is currently around 3x in Biocon Biologics, and Biocon has indicated that they would probably look at further fundraising in order to reduce these debt levels further. Now, in terms of the 100 million vaccines, they will still have access, but COVID-19 is probably out of the picture when it comes to vaccine demand as compared to what was earlier anticipated. So what happens with the $100 million? There were potential revenue estimates of anywhere between $300 to $400 million. Now, that is probably something that the street is going to rework, and hence that is something that this street will watch out for once the vaccine alliance really takes off.
All right, Tikta, thanks a lot for that. So 1.5%, a little over 1.5% higher on Biocon here. Earlier we spoke with Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, who is, of course, the executive chairperson of the company and Biocon Biologics, to discuss this deal. Let's listen into what she had to say.
There was an original deal that was struck in 2021 about offering a 15% stake in return for, certain financials linked to vaccines. Now that has been replaced by a straight equity, investment, whereas, Serum had already invested 150 million in Biocon Biologics, and there was a loan that is now being converted into equity, which will add another 150 million and make it an aggregate investment of 300 million. At an approximate aggregate valuation of 6 billion. So I think that's the change in the restructured arrangement that we now have with Serum Institute. The original 15% stake obviously is replaced with this, so you can do your calculations. The 300 million will then be given a stake at a $6 billion enterprise valuation, so you can do the math. So it won't be, obviously it'll be much lower than the 15% stake that was originally planned. We expect to still have access to the $100 million doses of vaccines, but it'll take a slightly it'll take a different kind of orientation in terms of the way we commercialize the vaccines.
Okay, so that is really the woman of the moment, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, talking about the restructuring of the deal. We, in fact, also spoke to Adar Poonawalla. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
The $300 million at the moment is a large investment, that one of the largest investments we've made in a strategic alliance. This will amount to a 4.9% stake now, because the valuation of Biocon Biologics is close to around $6 billion. As I think Kiran Shaw had mentioned recently. This is a 10-15-year horizon and vision that we're looking at. It's a 15-year arrangement. So there's plenty of time, to generate some good sales, through our other vaccines. And it's not just limited to vaccines that we make. In the strategic partnership, if Biocon and Biologics have opportunities and other vaccines that they find through their network and partners that they would want us to manufacture, we can manufacture that as well. So the agreement that we have now with them covers, and is not limited to all of these sort of opportunities. We've got a profit-sharing arrangement in the agreement, which shares the profits of the vaccines that will be made. I do have the right for a board seat. I'm not exercising that at this moment because currently I'm preoccupied with Poonawalla FinCorp, and I've actually got a board meeting today. So yes, in the future I may exercise my right, which I do have, for me to be nominated from Serum to be on the board. And I will most probably exercise that right in the near future. Let's put it that way, but not at the moment.
Okay, well, that's about the whole Serum Biocon Biologics deal. But let's move on. Ipca Laboratories is the other one. The street is definitely not happy with the fact that they are acquiring 30% stake in Unichem Labs. Remember, that's a sizable acquisition, but the stock is down about 10%. Ekta, you were telling us earlier as to how, Unichem Labs has barely grown in the last 4 to 5 years. So that could be one of the reasons for disappointment.
Yes, that's the reason why you're seeing, Ipca Labs down around 10-odd%. So the news is that Ipca Labs is going to be buying 33.38% stake in Unichem from the promoter at 440 rupees per share, which totals to around 1,034 crores that they will be shelling out. And they will buy an additional 26% stake via an open offer, which would be to the tune of around 805 crores totally in terms of a shell out. The purchase price of 440 rupees is a premium to what Unichem closed at yesterday. Now, what exactly does Unichem bring to the table for Ipca Labs? Unichem, remember, sold its domestic business in 2017 to Torrent Pharma for 3,600 crores. Now, 55% of Unichem's international business, which is what is the only thing which was left with them, is actually supplies to the US. Now, that becomes, they have 3 formulation facilities, they have 3 API facilities, and all of the facilities that supply to the US are US FDA compliant, so they don't have any regulatory issues as well. Now, Ipca has 3 facilities which are under the US FDA scanner since 2015. So what this means is that they would get immediate access to the US with this particular acquisition, something that they have been struggling with in terms of compliance since 2015. Now, the negatives for this and the reason why the stock is down 10% is that Unichem has only been growing in low single digits in the past 4 to 5 years. Their margin profile has worsened. So, for example, 9 months FY23, they incurred an EBITDA loss of around 28.6 crores. Also, they have a liability on one of their subsidiaries, Niche Generics, from the European Commission. Valuation, annualizing 9-month numbers, acquisition is done at an enterprise value of 2.5 times revenue. Incred has indicated they are paying a high valuation for a loss-making asset, which is hence too expensive in their eyes. So that's the reason why Ipca is down 10%. Also, there are questions that you have faced issues earlier in the past with the US. Do you actually want to make it a core business again? And to whether or not you could actually have utilized the funds better and maybe even rewarded shareholders.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the main thing, right? I mean, people don't want to see shareholder money, in a sense, being used for these kind of acquisitions that perhaps have not yielded returns in the recent past. So there you have it. That's Ipca Laboratories. Mankind Pharma, though, that's the other one in focus. There's a 4,300 crore rupee IPO open for subscription. Earlier today, we spoke with Rajiv Juneja, who's the Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Mankind Pharma, to discuss more about the IPO, the way forward, whether they're looking at exports at all or not. Listen into what he had to say.
Gross margins of Panacea are more than Mankind, and once these products will be shifted, manufacturing will shift in our own factories, gross margins will further improve. Keeping everything in mind, this is a fantastic kind of a acquisition. This is basically one organization which is not properly, its products are not being properly utilized, exploited to the fullest. We feel we can do wonderful with this. We are a domestic company. 97% sales of Mankind comes from India only. So 97% focus is India. And we see, as far as the consumer products are concerned, it's not number of products which matters. It's basically, the same products, how big it can become. So look at Mankind or Unwanted or Praga News. There can be a question that Praga News commands 80% market share, but people do not know. We are doing fantastic in metro. We are doing very good in rural.
Okay, so that's the management of Mankind. Strong demand seen from the anchor investors, where they raised significant amount of money at the upper end of the price band. So it will be an IPO to watch out for, especially considering the brand recall that they have in their consumer health business. Need to take a short break. Up next, we will be focusing on stocks that are moving in trade on the back of news updates. Stay tuned.
Blue, red, yellow. I'm a chameleon. It's my job to change color. But your wealth manager? Well, they shouldn't be copying me, you know? You know that, right? Choose Nuvama. We only do what's right for you and your money. Nuvama. Let's do it right.
तेरी रोशनी हूं मैं, किस ना। Hey, buddy. Hope you like them.
Introducing Apollo Alpha. Add more thrill to your beast.
Z-Black Premium Agarbatti and Dhoop, official prayer partner, Delhi Capitals.
कमाल की कार है ना सर। कमाल की कार के लिए कमाल का पेट्रोल भी चाहिए, एकदम टॉप का, जो हमारे इंडिया में मिलता कहाँ है।
अरे सर, प्रीमियम कार्स के लिए इंडियन ऑयल ने बनाया है 100 ऑक्टेन वाला देश का सबसे प्रीमियम पेट्रोल, XP 100। इंडियन ऑयल, पहले इंडियन फिर ऑयल।
100% happiness with SBI Home Loans. Zero processing fee at 8.50% onwards. Apply today. Call 1-800-112018. Visit homeloans.sbi.
Welcome back. Well, let's talk about an FMCG company that came out with numbers. Nestle is the one that we're talking about. It came out with its Q1 CY23 numbers. Mangalam, tell us more. Strong top-line growth, largely nothing too disturbing.
Nothing too disturbing, you know. It's actually a very good set of numbers, which is, as far as the top line is concerned, the EBITDA and the net profit is concerned as well. Why is it that the stock is not rallying hard on such a strong set? It's because, if you remember, one day last week we had a 5% move on Nestle, which was unusual. So maybe some part of the street was factoring in good numbers coming in and had taken pre-positions, which is why, you know, immediately after the numbers we saw a big dip in the stock price, and thereafter it's recovered to flatten out. The other factor that the stock is not rallying is because of milk inflation. So gross margins continue to remain compressed. The revenues of the company, 4830 crores, much above our poll of 4460 crores. The EBITDA at around 1100 crores, again above our estimates of 1028 crores. The margins have been a 30 basis points miss on street expectations and a 60 basis points dip year on year. And the net profit too is above expectations. The reason why the margins are down 60 basis points despite the gross margins being down 160 basis points is because the company's cut down on its other expenses as a percentage of sales, which is coming at 21.1% versus 28%. Now, what we understand from our sources is that the company's domestic volume growth is at 5%, whereas ex-low unit Maggi packs, the volume growth is between 11 to 12%. What this basically means is that Maggi, the 5 rupee pack, Nestle had increased the price to 7 rupees, whereas Yippee kept it at 5 rupees itself. So a lot of the market share at the lower end went to Yippee. So there wasn't enough volume growth out there. If you discount for that, the volume growth of the company has been 11 to 12%. The company's seen its highest growth in a quarter in the last 1 decade. They've increased their distribution in the rural area, so rural business has done well for them as well. And Nescafe recorded its highest ever market share. The only worry is that the cost of fresh milk, fuels and green coffee are expected to remain firm. So to that extent, margins are something I'll be watching out for.
You know, someone on Reddit had said that Yippee noodles are much better than Maggi, and that triggered such a food debate. It was very interesting to see. I haven't tried Yippee yet, but
those are the
Maggi
best
is an
debates to
all-time
have,
favorite.
right? Debates on sports, debates on food, and debates on advertisements, debates on brands, because that's healthy and everyone can have their own view. And if you don't like it, you just don't buy the product. As against other debates that happen online,
and no one is really right. I mean, your taste buds are different from mine, so how
exactly. But Maggi has a legacy. I mean, you can't discount. Maggi is more than the taste; it's the nostalgia. Yeah, it reminds you of good times. It's a feeling. Yes.
Okay, but you're also tracking Atul Limited today. The Commerce Ministry has terminated the investigation on sulfur black imports. In fact, Sonal is tracking this. So let's go straight to her. I think she's waiting by. Sonal, why are you tracking this one?
It's an interesting update on Atul Limited because the government has gone ahead. They have terminated the anti-dumping duty investigation that they were doing on imports of sulfur black. Now, this is one of the key products for Atul Limited as well. Centrum Broking has written a note on that, and they say that import data for FY21 and FY22 suggested that imports of sulfur black into the country accelerated after a null period that we saw in FY18. During FY23, imports surged as much as 3 times. And of course, it hurt the domestic industry as well, and Atul Limited was one of them. And that's the reason Atul Limited went ahead and they petitioned for anti-dumping duty on sulfur black imports from China region, and that was back in September 2022. However, in interesting turn of events, now the company has gone ahead and withdrawn their petition to carry on any investigation on anti-dumping duty. They talk about certain reasons for that. They said there has been significant increase in the imports after the current investigation period. Basically, when they filed it till now, there has been a significant increase in imports already. There is price undercutting, there is higher dumping, there's injury margin, which has significantly impacted the entire domestic industry that manufactures sulfur black as well. And the quantum of ADD that the government will now decide will be grossly inadequate, even if they go ahead and actually impose any anti-dumping duty. So that's why they are not going ahead with this petition that they had filed. However, analysts are of the view that Atul Limited will file an updated petition asking for higher anti-dumping duty, and this is something that will be as per the current data, not the previous data, because the current data shows 3 times increase in import as well. As of now, according to Centrum Broking, it is a neutral to marginally negative event for the company. Now, sulfur black is a major product for Atul Limited. As I told you, it is mainly used for dyeing cellulose fiber, viscose staple fiber and yarn as well, so in the textile industry. Additionally, Atul had expanded its capacity for sulfur black substantially from 9.8 thousand tons per annum to 28,000 tons per annum. So they are a big player getting hurt by higher dumping at lower margins in the country, and looks like they'll file another petition for this one.
All right, thanks a lot for that. But the stock on our radar right now is Birlasoft. This as they've signed a settlement agreement with Invacare. Remember, a couple of days ago, Vivek had told us this. The company entering into a settlement and a mutual release agreement with Invacare, because when they had this problem, you know, it was a big overhang on the stock. We saw a bit of a decline in the stock price as well when this happened. And a couple of days ago, when Vivek broke the story, there was a bit of relief, and now it has come by. It is official. The fact that they will settle with Invacare. The number should come up for you right now on the screen. What exactly is the amount?
And in fact, in the press release, it indicates that Birlasoft would receive $2 million for disengagement services ending on May 31st, 2023. So I think that's the tune of the financial inflow that they'll probably get.
All right. With that, we'll step into a short break. Come back on the other side. We'll get you Sachidanand Uttekar. He will give us some trading strategies.
अभी तक मटेरियल आया नहीं, पैसे नहीं है। अच्छा,
यूग्रो कैपिटल का ग्रो एक्स ऐप है ना, अब आपको भी मिल सकती है नॉन स्टॉप बिजनेस करने की आजादी।
इतनी जल्दी?
की बात चली है, एक नई शुरुआत मिली है, परिवर्तन को गले लगाकर बढ़ेगा। बढ़ेगा, प्रॉफिट भी अब खूब चढ़ेगा। काम को नई दिशा दिखाकर अपनाएंगे, पर्यावरण को हम ही संवारे, प्रदूषण से बचाने को अपनाएंगे।
Register with Ministry of MSME sets
Blue Star Inverter AC with fast cool technology.
Try 5 Paisa. Powerful charts and research tool. One click trade is the new app. Karo install. Trading made simple, simple for all. With 5 Paisa's wide range, karte hai trade. सोच मत छोटे, install मार. Investment in securities market are subject.
Halftime report, good time to get in an update on what's taking place in the F&O space. We have the Nifty Bank, which is doing well. Nothing really to complain about. It's up 30 points, but the Nifty Bank's doing well, and that's reflected in the kind of data that we saw yesterday as well. Yesterday, the Nifty, so 1,100 crore worth purchase in index futures yesterday. To the Nifty Bank, they had, directed only 106 further room for short covering on the Nifty Bank itself. We are seeing a fair amount of put writing at 17,008. Whereas the call writers at 17,700 are unbinding their positions as they did yesterday as well. But 17,500 to 17,800 range. At the same time, the put call ratio, which usually, a day moving average, is at 17,838. So those are a couple of things we'll have to keep an eye out on. Versus the index that we're watching out for will be crucial to watch in the last 30 minutes of trade because of the financial services expired from the F&O space.
All right, thanks a lot for that. Well, Sachidanand Uttekar of Trade Bulls is General Mark, but I think, that sort of attempt has been quashed for now. What is the expectation for the second half of the day, and what are the individual stock ideas that you're recommending?
Average, but when it comes to Nifty, we are clearly seeing an evidence of an engulfing bearish kind of formation on the weekly scale, which is exhibiting the fact that may act as a very strong resistance. So unless we don't surpass that particular level, I think chasing longs when it comes to Nifty should not be a prudent idea. On the contrary, in fact, we are of the opinion that in case if we see slippages below 17,720 from here on, I think that will be an ideal level wherein fresh short commitments can be deployed. We are expecting Nifty to again swing towards that 17,600, 550 kind of a zone. But when it comes to Bank Nifty, since the beginning of this particular series, the Bank Nifty has been holding well above its 5-day exponential moving average, and the data is still exhibiting that probably once we see it scaling towards that 42,800 mark, we may see further bouts of short covering. So we are comfortable trading long positions when it comes to Bank Nifty, but for Nifty I think the upside looks capped and the reward to risk is not that prudent to go and deploy fresh longs. On the contrary, I think 17,720 and we may start initiating some fresh short positions. Even if you look at the equation today, we have both wins which are down by 1%. They have already breached below their previous day swing lows. We have Reliance, which is struggling near that 2,300 or 2,350 kind of a zone. So I think the weightage is not that good enough for the Nifty to elevate from here on, and probably we may see Nifty slipping into a sideways zone. But when it comes to Bank Nifty, I think the trend looks still strong.
Okay, all right, Sachidanand, we're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and speaking with us. Just watch out for Bajaj Auto, comes out with numbers today, sitting at a fresh 52-week high in today's trading session. So going in strong into its Q4 performance. Well, we need to take a short break, but we are still not done with pharmaceuticals. On the other side, we have with us Bhushan Akshikar, who's the Managing Director of GSK Pharmaceuticals, who will join in to discuss the shingles vaccine launch in India.
चले मामा जी घर चले
चले चले चले सांस भी नहीं लेने दी यार।
साफ हवा एंजॉय करने के लिए अब कहीं और क्यों चले, घर पे ही रुके। वोल्टास का नया प्योर एयर एडजस्टेबल एसी विद HEPA फिल्टर, ये जर्म्स और पोल्यूटेंट्स को फिल्टर करे और दे साफ ठंडी हवा 6 एडजस्टेबल टनेज मोड्स में।
तो हवा और सेविंग्स दोनों टन टनाटन।
कैसे करते हैं ट्रेड? ट्राई 5 पैसा। Upcoming corporate action, yeah, news flow. किसका हुआ merger, कौन है नया CEO?
Financial data मिलेगा अब हाथों हाथ. Fundamental analysis से अब बनेगी बात.
जानो हर स्टॉक जो है ट्रेंडी, टेक्निकल एनालिसिस से भी लगेगी फ्रेंडली. क्वार्टरली रिजल्ट्स होगी सेंड, लक बाय चांस इन्वेस्टिंग का होगा दी एंड.
With 5 Paisa's in-depth company information, always stay up to date.
ऐसे करते हैं ट्रेड.
सोच मत छोटे. Install my investment in securities market are subject to market risk. Read all related documents carefully before investing.
After the resounding success of India Inc. On the Move 2022 in Gurgaon, this year we're coming to Mumbai to explore how sustainable practices are the key to long-term success of the manufacturing industry. Get valuable insights from industry luminaries, experts and policymakers on how your business can prosper with this new paradigm for growth. Only at Forbes India and CNBC-TV18 present India Inc. On the Move, Sustainable Manufacturing, powered by Rockwell Automation.
Welcome back. Well, flat for the market, so let's get talking about a couple of other companies. GSK Pharmaceuticals is in focus this afternoon because they are launching a shingles vaccine in the country. Now, the name of the vaccine is Shingrix, and it is basically used for herpes zoster. The interesting part about this particular vaccine is that basically it is a vaccine for adults above the age of 50. So anyone above the age of 50 can get this particular vaccine. And global data shows that 1 out of 3 people develop shingles in their lifetime. The vaccine has proven an efficacy of over 90% against shingles. To discuss this and what the potential might be, we have with us Bhushan Akshikar, who is the Managing Director of GSK Pharmaceuticals, joining in. Mr. Akshikar, thank you very much for taking the time out. Just wanted to start by asking you about the potential of this particular vaccine in a country such as India, where the adult vaccine market itself is not that developed.
Thank you very much. First of all, Ekta, a pleasure to be on this show. As you rightly said, it's an evolving area. But if you look at GSK's presence in India over the last century, we brought some innovative solutions across the spectrum. We continue to be a broadly based pharmaceutical company across vaccines and pharmaceuticals. We continue to be the leaders in private pediatric vaccines. And that's exactly the space where we intend to build the next growth lever. If there is any silver lining of the COVID pandemic, it was this whole area of healthy aging and vaccination. And that's exactly where shingles and Shingrix comes into play. As you said, one of the biggest advantages of this vaccine is it is one of the most effective vaccines, 97% efficacy in people above 50 years. And it clearly is a huge unmet need. If you look at India, we have about 260 million people above the age of 50. So you can imagine the kind of opportunity this can help unlock, especially given the life expectancy going up, people wanting to take better control. Given the fact that shingles is an extremely painful condition, which can even lead to complications like post-herpetic neuralgia, shingles in the form of the first non-live vaccine being available to India in the form of Shingrix can be a fantastic opportunity. And that's exactly where we are putting our energy now.
Okay, Bhushan, just going by the numbers, Ekta, you put out, 1 in 3 patients having it, and there are 260 million patients in India, or rather 260 million people in India above the age of 50. So it comes to a market of roughly 80 million people. Just wanted to understand what the pricing of this vaccine is, and how do you look to create this market in India? I mean, are you, do you have the infrastructure, the doctors, the distribution? How do you plan to tap into this?
So first and foremost, yes, adult vaccination as an area is still evolving. And what gives us confidence is clearly our ability to work across a very diverse set of stakeholders. We've just created a dedicated sales team, including opportunities in non-traditional channels beyond healthcare practitioners and hospitals. So clearly, this is going to be a big opportunity in the form of looking at how many of those 260 million people can benefit with this innovative path-breaking vaccine. Coming to the pricing, obviously for India, we will definitely have an India-specific pricing, significantly different than what you see in the Western world. We're just launching it this week, but there'll be a range of at least 30-40% lower than what you see in the other parts of the world. So that's where we see Shingrix clearly placed in terms of what value it can unlock for all those people who can benefit with this vaccine.
Some more questions from my end. A, is there enough infrastructure to reach doctors for the distribution, etc., or will some investment have to be made for this from GSK's end? And B, what is the kind of competition that you see in this space, both in India as well as globally?
So first, globally, this is GSK's biggest asset, contributes almost 3 billion pounds globally to the global revenues. More importantly, it's an evolving space, as I said. So given the infrastructure that already exists in terms of cold chain, I don't think we will have significant investments required, because we are, as I said, already the leaders in the pediatric vaccine segment. In terms of putting up the non-traditional channels where people can actually avail of this vaccination, yes, we are putting in all those measures, including at-home services. So you'll hear a lot more in the coming days and weeks in terms of how we can potentially unlock value so that people can really take charge of their own health as a part of the healthy aging.
Bhushan, just give us some numbers. In FY22, how much did you generate from your vaccine franchise in the Indian market, specifically from adult vaccines? And now with this shingles launch, how much do you probably expect to do, say, in FY24? I'm not going to touch upon the quarter gone by's numbers. So if you could just give us a larger picture that we can work with.
So as I said, Ekta, we are one of the few broadly based healthcare companies where we straddle both in the prevention space with our vaccines business and general medicines or pharmaceuticals business, including some specialty. To give you a broad sense, we have about 80% of our business coming from pharmaceuticals, whereas about 20% comes from vaccines. Moving forward, we certainly see vaccines contributing back to the growth agenda of this company, especially led by Shingrix.
Just a couple of back calculations that we're doing here. A cursory search online shows that it's available for about $180 per dose or $360 for the entire vaccine outside of India. You're saying you'll sell it for 30 to 40% discount. So is $120 to $200 for the dose and the entire vaccine a range that we should be working with? That's point number one. And secondly, if that's the case, then multiply that by 8 crore Indians who might be having shingles right now, or the underlying condition that requires this vaccine right now. That makes it, what, a $1,600 market, $1,600 million market immediately?
So I think back of the envelope calculations aside, first and foremost, look, it's a priceless vaccine. The reason I say that is very often you don't get to see this kind of efficacy. 97% efficacy is something that's absolutely unique in terms of what this vaccine brings. Again, the price points that you're comparing, again, if you were to look at some of the Western markets, the price is anywhere between $350 to $500, give and take, in some of the Western markets. So, as I said, we are in the launch phase. We will have a tiered structure in terms of what channels we go after. But clearly, this will be an India-specific pricing at a certainly different pricing point compared to the prices that you just mentioned.
There are, last question from my side, Bhushan, there are a couple of vaccines, for shingles which are available globally along with yours. So do you anticipate those launches to come through in the Indian market and hence maybe competition to increase? If so, by when?
So, Ekta, first and foremost, I think we are currently the only non-live vaccine with this kind of efficacy globally available. And that makes it unique. So yes, I think certainly, including us, there are several companies looking at different platforms, including mRNA for this vaccine. But I think as we speak right now, given the strong evidence, given the strong scientific data points that we have, we certainly are at an advantage in terms of got this approval and making this vaccine available to the millions who can potentially benefit in India as of now.
Okay, we will leave it at that. Thanks a lot for joining in and all the best. That's GSK Pharma. By the way, for the market as well, just wanted to mention a couple of stocks and we will discuss that on the other side of the break too. There's ITC, which has hit a fresh 52-week high yet again today, so do keep an eye out on that. And a couple of other names in the broader markets, the likes of Polycab, VATech, Vabag are stocks that are hitting fresh highs as well. But overall, the market is very quiet, so let's dip into a quick break. On the other side of the break, we'll have a discussion with the management of Mahindra Auto. Baneshwar Banerjee of Mahindra Auto joins in. The company has launched the Bolero Max pickup. More on that in a bit.
Yes. Quiet! It's okay for us to nod for everything. Because we are parrots. But your wealth manager? Shouldn't be doing that. You know? No? Oh.
Choose Nuvama. We only do what's right for you and your money. Nuvama. Let's do it right.
Whenever I had ice cream or cold water, I would experience a sharp shooting sensation, so I just kept ignoring it. Even my hot chai was giving me the same amount of discomfort. My dentist recommended Sensodyne, so now I can be completely carefree and sip my hot cup of tea. It really works.
The last hour. Anything can happen between the bells. But what happens during the last hour is what matters the most. The biggest market swings. A close-up look at what's driving them. And how the investors are reacting. Watch the most seasoned market mavens guide you through the most important hour of the trading day. NSE Closing Bell. At these times, only on CNBC-TV18 and CNBC-TV18.com.
Co-powered by IBM.
Mankind Pharma Limited now makes an initial public offer of equity shares of face value 1 rupee each for cash at a premium. The 100% book-built offer being offered in a price band of 1,026 rupees to 1,080 rupees per equity share. Opens on 25th April 2023 and closes on 27th April 2023. For risk factors and more details, refer to the red herring prospectus.
Welcome back. Well, for the markets, it's holding up very quiet at this point in time. So we have an advanced decline ratio, which is on the positive side. So let's see whether that manages to sustain. There is some amount of profit booking which has taken place at higher levels. The advanced decline ratio currently stands at around close to 2,000 stocks advancing and around 1,470 stocks declining on the Bombay Stock Exchange. It seems as though that gap is now narrowing as we speak. But M&M has launched 8 new vehicles in all-new Bolero Max pickup range. The company has launched the City range for Bolero pickup trucks at a starting price of 7.85 lakhs, and Intercity range will start from 9.26 lakhs. Parikshit Luthra has spoken to the VP and Head of Sales of Mahindra Auto to discuss this launch and their growth outlook. Listen in.
This is the all-new platform that we presented today, and a complete range both in the city pickup category and the entire HD range category that we have launched. This is all new brand in the range of 1.3 ton to 2 ton category that we have launched today. And for us, we are going to redefine with the kind of features that we have given in this category, which is some of them are the industry best, some of them are the best in the category. So this is definitely going to change the way we are playing the game today in terms of our commercial vehicle portfolio.
Right. I would also like to ask you, what was the company's market share in this segment in the last fiscal? How many units were you able to sell what were the volumes like, and how do you expect the volumes to go up with this new range of 8 vehicles?
Yeah, so as far as the category is concerned, so I would like to break this category into two. One is below the 3.5 ton category. There we have a lion's share of around 45%. When I talk about this category that we are standing in front, which is 2 to 3.5 ton category, there we have a market share of 60%. And we are pretty confident with the launch of this product, the entire portfolio, which has, products across having, a 10 feet cargo, which is kind of designed in a manner to take the volume, to take the load. The way the vehicle is designed in terms of the overhang, suspension, and everything, we are pretty confident that we are going to go pillar to strength on these products, and we have a capacity of around 17,500, and we are pretty confident that we are going to, be able to do that in our pickup range portfolio.
All right, so 17,500 is what
is our capacity.
Right, yeah. Right. The other thing, and I want to clarify, this is a monthly capacity that you're talking about?
Yeah, this is a monthly capacity. So to just give you some perspective of the numbers, so this category has crossed 5 lakhs after a period of, if I have to benchmark F19, where we had seen the category going beyond 5 lakhs, so it has again gone back to that pie, and overall put together in the category of the 2 to 3.5 ton, we have done close to 2 lakhs vehicles. So that is how it is. And if I have to break the category into 2 to 3.5 tons, so we have done 2 lakh on this vehicle, which the industry is around 3.31 lakhs.
So overall, what kind of a production pipeline or offtake are you preparing for?
I told you we have a capacity of 17,500. So that is where we are.
And that's what you're looking at, exhausting fully.
Yeah.
In terms of electrification, Mahindra & Mahindra is electrifying its products for this pickup range segment. What are the plans for electrification?
Yeah. So right now we are launching this product in diesel and CNG. We are studying the market, and if there is a requirement, we will see. But right now, these products are launched on diesel and CNG. Both we have already shown you the CNG in the city category. We are going to launch the CNG in the HD category as well.
Okay, that's an all-new range of trucks that Mahindra has launched, and in this segment of 2 to 3.5 tons, they're sitting on around 60% market share, and they hope that will continue to grow. Let's do one thing. Let's step into a quick break. On the other side, Manisha Gupta joins in. She has with her Bimal Kothari, who's the Vice Chairman, India Pulses and Grains Merchants Association. Do stay tuned in.
अरे अभी तक मटेरियल आया नहीं?
पैसे नहीं है। मटेरियल कैसे आएगा?
अच्छा।
पैसे का आप भी टेंशन मत लो। यू ग्रो कैपिटल का ग्रो एक्स ऐप है ना, अब आपको भी मिल सकती है नॉन स्टॉप बिजनेस करने की आजादी।
इतनी जल्दी?
हमारी प्रार्थना होगी स्वीकार।
Z-Black Premium Agarbatti and Dhoop, official prayer partner, Delhi Capitals.
गुणवत्ता की बात चली है, एक नई शुरुआत मिली है, परिवर्तन को गले लगाकर अपनाएंगे Z। प्रोडक्शन भरपूर बढ़ेगा, प्रॉफिट भी अब खूब चढ़ेगा, काम को नई दिशा दिखाकर अपनाएंगे Z।
Register with Ministry of MSME's Z certification scheme today.
From David to Goliath, from the smallest business ventures to multi-million-dollar global corporations, meet the movers and shakers, today's newsmakers, and tomorrow's leaders. Understand what makes markets move, how companies make quantum leaps, and how giant corporations stay ahead. Get the biggest business stories of the day, power-packed into 30 minutes. on Business 360 at these times. A. Balasubramanian decodes the investment space for retail investors and draws out the do's and don'ts on how to grow wealth by goal-based investing through mutual funds. Watch all this and more on Mutual Funds Sahi Hai. Give wings to your savings in association with News 18 Network at these times.
Welcome back, and joining us now is Mr. Bimal Kothari from India Pulses and Grains Association. Mr. Kothari, hi, welcome to the show. And there's just so much happening on pulses. In the recent past, we've seen the government officials visit various processors and millers within Maharashtra to check on their stocks there. How have you seen the prices, especially of Kharif pulses like Tur and Urad, where we have seen prices gain up in double digits since the month of Feb?
Yeah, thank you, Manisha ji. First of all, let me tell you, if looking at the pulses scenario in our country, definitely there is a shortfall in the production of Tur and Urad, especially Tur. So there has been pressure on the prices in last couple of months. But if you see the prices more or less has stabilized in last 1 month, what has been ruling in the month or in the mid-March, I think the same prices are there for the Tur now. So definitely there is a concern of the shortfall and the gap between the demand and supply. But if you look at the overall scenario of the pulses like chana, masoor and yellow peas and mung beans, I think most of the pulses are either selling around minimum support price or below minimum support price. Government, this time we also have, as per the government estimate, we still have a record crop of chana, which is about 135 lakh tons as per the second advance estimate, which was declared about 2 months back. So, and government has also started procurement of chana. The chana is stock as of today with the government is about 28 lakh tons. I mean, when I'm saying government, it's an effort who are the procurement agency on behalf of the government. So they have got a 28 lakh tons chana with the carryover from the last year, as well as this year they have almost got about 14 lakh tons. So, and they are still continuing buying chana despite of their purchase of 14 lakh tons. Chana is still selling below minimum support price. Today in the mandis, the chana is rolling around. The chana prices are rolling around 46, 47. So if you look at the other pulses like masoor, it is selling around 58 to 60 rupees, which is again around minimum support price or below minimum support price. If you look at mutter, which is of course not a very large crop, but still we produce about 8 to 10 lakh tons, and mutter is selling around 40 rupees a kilo in the mandi. And
So,
if you look at mung beans, this is also still hovering around minimum support price, and we are going to.
So, Mr. Kothari, we understand that there are some pulses which are available in abundance and not so much for Tur and Urad. When do you see this mismatch getting done with, and are you anticipating more measures from the government?
We had a meeting with the government of India, with the Consumer Affairs Ministry last month, and we have suggested them some measures. Everybody knows that there is a shortfall in the production of Tur. We require about 45 lakh tons of Tur, whereas as per the government estimate, it is about 34 to 35 lakh tons. So definitely there is a shortfall in the production, and then there is a gap of about 10 lakh tons. So we have suggested some measures and some important measures, like government in their all the this mid-day meal scheme or other government schemes, whether it is with the government of India or with the state government. They all invite they all buy the Tur in the tender. So we have suggested instead of Tur, why should not they buy lentils and chana dal? And I think they have taken our recommendation, and now they are replacing Tur with these lentils. You see, in these tenders, about 500,000 tons of the Tur is going for the all these government schemes, so which can be replaced.
I also want to understand, Mr. Kothari, I'm sorry, apologize, I'm stopping you there, but I also want to understand we've already seen 10 to 13% of price rise since month of Feb. With all the measures, with whatever the government is doing, with the understanding that NIFED has enough stock right now, are you anticipating prices stabilizing from now? What is your sense until the month of August now?
Government is also put. You see, we are interacting with the government on a very regular basis as an apex body of the trade, and we really want to support the government in this endeavor to check the prices, particularly of the Tur. Because I'm not anticipating much hike in the prices of Urad, because Urad we are still there is a lot of stock available in Burma, so we'll be getting regularly. So I don't think the prices of Urud will go. Urud prices are rolling around 75, 76, as against the MSP of 66 rupees. Sugar, of course, is around 81, 82 rupees, which is a little bit higher. But if you really look at the situation, I don't think the prices are so high, which is very alarming, rather, I'll say. It is not alarming. And let me tell you, Manisha ji, one thing. In India, what we have seen, whenever the prices go beyond certain point, the consumer's behavior changes. They look for the other, alternative pulses. Say like chana, which is selling, which is available at a very low price, and masoor and butter and all this. So I don't think that there is going to be a huge jump or huge hike on the prices. Beyond this point, there might be still. You can see another 5 or 10% prices going up, but not beyond that. But that will.
All right.
But as we have suggested these measures to the government of India, I think with these measures we can check the prices. And let me tell you, after 3.5 months, we are going to see the crop of East Africa, where we will be importing about 600 to 700,000 metric tons, and which will take care of, which will again further check the prices during the festival, because most of the arrivals will take in the time of festival. So there is some concern, but it is not very alarming. And government is definitely taking preemptive steps to.
All right, so
clearly that. All right.
All right, Manisha. Thanks very much for taking us through that conversation on pulses. Well, on that note, we really need to wrap up on the show with the news that the markets are quite flat, but there's a lot of news underneath the surface. Business Lunch up next.